I would now like to recognize Mr. Devin Macaronis to call the roll of the EAGI committee.
Senator Selena R. Babauta,
Present.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia, Senator Paul A. Mangonia, Senator Donald M. Mangonia.
Present.
Madam Chair, 3 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. For the record, Senator Corina Magofnia is excused from this hearing and we have established quorum to conduct today's official meeting, and we will proceed. Buenos dias para todos hamzo ni man gini. Está po 16 minutos después de las 10 que gan. Winina tataan ogan y Jueves, Julio, día 27, 2023, gwini sa Saipan, gisan halong mi piso ni Sanhilo na gumagi legislatura. Lokwe, benvenido para todos si maneega gi local cable channel 23, YouTube and Facebook. Saludo para todos hamzo. Paugo na haoni para ta ekungok, dan ta ina, napuntan i gobyerno, para un membro gi Northern Marianas Housing Corporation Board of Directors, tat como si Señora Vina Claire Saris Azuzu. Guahu si Selena Babauta, guahu i encargado gesti na komite gini gi Sanilo na guma. Antes di ta tutuhunin paugo zao na be zao ma atensyon mizo didi za por favor na fan silensyo telefon mizo cosa que sinya no menos no disruption meeting. At this time also, I would like to introduce the professional staff of the Legislative Bureau assisting in the moderation of today's committee meeting. We have our counsel, Ms. Antoinette Villagomez, our legislative assistant assigned to this committee, Mr. Devin Macaronis, and to keep order and decorum at all times during the hearing, we have our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Will Uggan. And to ensure that the meeting is properly recorded and digitized, we have our IT assistant, Mr. Delbert Camacho. Next on the agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda, and I'd like to recognize Senator Paul Manglotnya for the proper motion.
So move, Madam Chair, to adopt our agenda for today.
Motion has been made and it has been seconded. Are there any objections to the motion?
Ready?
There being no objections raised or concerns raised, the motion hereby passes. For the record, today's agenda was issued on July 21st, 2023, in compliance with the Open Government Act. And at this time, we will move along and invite Mr. Oscar Babauta, the Special Assistant for Administration, and the nominee, Ms. Vina Claire Saris Azuzu, to join us in the chamber. Este na eksisisa na sistema i parataina i kwalifikasyon niya i maapunta pati dinidikta gi constitutions ani laisya ni man ma-establisista para Commonwealth. Kosa kisinya ugwaha inadahi inina zan inentalo ginini legislatura para haji siya man maapunta para manahantin i gobernamento ta enteramente. Único na praktika gini gisanhilo na guma. Za podeno na rason na manggagit pa guguin. Señor Babauta, consigue zangin listo hasta.
Buen provecho, señora Babauta. Madam Chair, I wish to say good morning, Hafaday, Lesor Mamoy, and Tiro, to you and your esteemed members of the EAGI committee, the honorable members of this august body. For the record, my name is Oscar M. Babauta, the Special Assistant for Administration under the Office of the Governor. I join you and the members in also welcoming the nominee and her family, her distinguished friends and associates, and as well as I see that my colleagues from the Northern Marianas Housing Corporations are here in support of the nominee. So I thank all of them for being here to support the nominee. Madam Chair, on behalf of the Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David M. Apatang, I thank you for the opportunity once again to appear before you today. And hopefully, this would be our last hearing for the week. And thank you for seeing me at the same time the last 2 days. I know we got out late yesterday, past 6 p.m. However, it is a job that we need to, all of us need to be, uh, to work together to resolve issues for our people. I'm here this morning, Madam Chair and members, to officially and formally introduce the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's nominee to the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation Board of Directors, none other than Ms. Bina Soris Azuzu, currently sitting to my right, representing not only the Third Senatorial District, but most especially representing our community, our Carolinian community in our Third Senatorial District. By this time, you should have in your possession Ms. Azuzu's resume describing her education and 10 years of profound professional experience in program development and management. Ms. Azuzu received her a BS degree in biology at Chaminade University in Honolulu, Hawaii, and is currently pursuing her master's in public administration at the University of Hawaii in Manoa. Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang places their full trust and confidence in Ms. Azuzu's ability to serve the Northern Marianas Housing Board of Directors. I know that she stands ready to answer to your inquiry and any other matters pertaining to her nomination and present her plans for the future. Her history of professional experience, credentials, and commitment in serving the Commonwealth and its people in this capacity makes her a viable candidate, and we kindly ask for your expeditious approval. Once again, thank you, Jesus Masi and Giliso Rem, for the opportunity to introduce her to this August body this morning. Thank you, and we hope we enjoy the cool day for the rest of the day. Thank you once again, everybody.
Jesus Masi, Senor Babauta. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is public comments. I now open the floor for those who wish to make public comments for the nominee. If you are planning to make public comments, I ask that you please state your name for the record and the entity you represent, and you may proceed, Mr. Nogues.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Felix Nogues. I'm here on behalf of Carolinian Affairs Office. I just want to emphasize that on behalf of the Carolinian community, we're proud of the nominee that's being forwarded to be considered on the MIHA board. With that, I want to keep my comments brief, and given her credentials and job experience, I'm sure it speaks for itself. Thank you.
Chair?
Recognize Senator Paul.
Director on Pinoy lingua ita sa no kulang praktika power na ni chairwoman sa kiu ba ko lokin e manotota genozo.
Lo often a lingua senator ko chamorro pa
We follow us, no?
tiro faisro resumer me ailuhe wai relial nominee vina clear tolong bobo board member miha I hal tungaran lir committee ke bro confirmly he tumogial qualification me job experience ilara tiro faisro.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Nogues. The floor is still open.
Good morning. Good morning. Before Senator Poe makes me speak on my own vernacular, Senator Poe, please spare me. Good morning, Chairwoman Selena Arbabauta and the distinguished Senate Standing Committee on Executive Appointment. Appointments and Government Investigations, Senator Paul Manglona and Senator Dano Manglona. My name is Marcy M. Tomokani, and as the chairwoman of the NMHC Northern Marianas Housing Corporation, I am here representing the agency in requesting your favorable consideration and approval for Ms. Vina Claire Saris Azuzu's nomination by our Honorable Governor Arno I. Palacios and Honorable Lieutenant Governor David M. Apatang. Based on Vina's educational background, various certifications, and extensive work experience, particularly as a grant writing and management, we at NMHC believe she is the best nominee to serve on the board of Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. We believe she will serve as an invaluable asset and bring forward new ideas and positive growth to the agency. With that, Chairwoman and distinguished Senate members, we ask that you we request that you humbly request for your favorable approval for Ms. Claire Saris Azuzu's nomination. Thank you, Sizus Maasi, and buenos dias. That's the best I could go, Senator Paul.
Senora Temokani, the floor is still open.
Half a day, Senators. Good morning, Madam Chair. First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Jeannie Mofnes, the Deputy Corporate Director of the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. I've been in the agency for about 16 years now, but I've never been so excited to sit over here to introduce or to testify in support of my very good friend, Ms. Vina Claire Saris Azuzu. I'm here to speak more so on a personal level about Ms. Azuzu. I think she would be the best fit and who will complement the current board members' composition as well. So who knows you better than your own college roommate, right? So Vina was my college roommate. We were both alumni of First Grace Christian Academy and now Chaminade University. I've known her for over 20 years. We've shared experiences through our careers in the past 20 years. And not just the challenges in government, but also the successes in government that she was also well a part of, especially in her career now at the Community Guidance Center. In college, she was very studious. I think she was the most diligent, the most driven, the most responsible, and probably the voice of reason amongst all of us. But don't get me wrong, she's also very straightforward. She tackles things with a no nonsense approach and will stand her ground and will fight for what she believes in, which definitely is a great value and asset to the NMHC board. Vina's heart is absolutely for this community and her passion is in public service. When the board seat became vacant, I just thought to myself, man, how nice it would be if Vina would join the board of directors. And coincidentally, she reached out to me as she wrote her master's paper. She asked about homelessness in the CNMI, so I got so excited, and I think I gave her more information than she actually needed. But you know, and this is why we are grateful at NMHC to Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang for the appointment of Vina, as I know she absolutely will not disappoint. Through our conversations and the ideas she's brought up, she would play such an essential role in NMHC's board of directors. With the complexities of the grant programs at housing, as you all know, we are close to about 300 million in appropriations. I think the largest grant ever to an agency in CNMI history. And just housing in general and homelessness in general, there's still unmet needs in the CNMI and such a huge feat to tackle. And I think with Vina's drive and her grit to learn and grow and contribute and be part of this policy making body, we would definitely, NMHC would definitely benefit. And also, with Vina's skill set, her grant experience, her deliberate thinking process, her sound decision making, Her selfless character will enable her to gain the institutional knowledge with ease and to create and navigate through the current policies and maybe craft new policies so that CNMI residents who qualify for our programs and services receive the best services and sustain permanent housing, and maybe even explore other options for those residents who do not qualify in our current housing programs. Aside from just programs themselves, I know that Ms. Vina would absolutely be there for our personnel who are true pillars, right? Are true pillars of the agency. Senators, I thank you for your time, and I'm again here in full support of my dear friend, an empowered female, and a servant leader whose heart is for this community. I hope for your favorable vote confirming her into the NMHC Board of Directors.
Jesus
Thank you.
Senora Muffness. Of all the public hearings for nominees that I have moderated, this is the most exciting for me. I welcome both fellow Silver Swords to the Senate chamber. The floor is still open.
Hafide and Tiro, Madam Chair Babauta, and members of this committee. My name is Zerlin Taimanyo, and I am here in support of Ms. Vina Soros' Azuzu's appointment to the NMHC board. I have known Vina for over 20 years. In fact, she, Jeannie, and I were college roommates while attending Chaminade University of Honolulu. Throughout college, Vina was diligent and hardworking. She was committed to finishing her education with zeal, making her family, most especially her parents, proud. On a personal level, Vina is compassionate and is always willing to lend a hand when needed. In my opinion, one of her best characteristics was her patience, because living with me was not easy. She has an infectious laugh and a voice that would put me at ease on nights when I would ask her to sing me to sleep. Her tunes definitely cured our our homesickness. Sorry. We're getting into homelessness too in this speech. Professionally, she has a great working relationship with her staff and always encourages and supports their professional development and advancement. In one of our most recent conversations, Vina shared that one way she would like to give back to the community would be to address homelessness by establishing a center similar to the homeless shelters that are available in the US mainland. With this vision, Vina will be a great addition and asset to the NMHC board. Her ability to make sound decisions and being solution driven will aid in the agency's development and further advancement. Sedus Maasid and Giliso.
Thank you, Ms. Taimanyo, and welcome fellow Silver Sword as well. I didn't know you were one. The floor is still open. See, everybody should go to Chaminade. Floor is still open.
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable member of this committee. Tiro, my name is Catalina Tebet, and I'm here this morning both to give moral support and to encourage this committee for confirmation of the nominee, Vina Claire Soros Azuzu. As much as I want to boast about her educational and work experience, I would just let the record speak for themselves. They speak loud. They speak clear for themselves. I would just speak briefly on her personal and family background. Vina is fortunate and blessed to have grown up with two sets of amazing and wonderful parents, being the late Tomas Igisomarsaurus, and my sister Rita, myself and my late husband Vicente Igisomar. Her name in Refalawash is Sashuram. That means a lot. It means gathering, putting things together, getting everyone together, a very good organizer. And her name speaks louder in our families. She organized things, get the families together very genuinely. I believe that her experience, educational background, if allowed by this committee, with her confirmation, nothing will go in vain. I have faith, all the faith in her. I'm so proud. Ihinguloti, anagogo panidosazu. And she would, I know she would do the best she can. I know she would do everything in her power to extend her services to our community and our island. Tiro, Kilisowami.
Sizosmasi, Senora Tebet. The floor is still open.
Oh, okay. Afade and Tiro, honorable members of the Senate Committee. My name is James Ariola, and I'm representing myself today. I'm here to give a statement of support for the appointment of Ms. Vina Saurisazuzu to the NMHC Board of Directors. I've worked with Vina in various capacities over the years, and most recently I've worked with her in my area of expertise in behavioral health. And Vina has shown her ability to lead through competencies in grants, managements, and programs, and most importantly, cultural knowledge essential to the unique populations we serve here in the Commonwealth. Additionally, her willingness and action to plan strategically and consider outcomes-based solutions through data-driven processes makes her ability to inform systems tangible and attainable for our population. I believe her perspective in the growing area of behavioral health as well for all islands in the Commonwealth will add a unique and crucial insight to the needs of our population in this particular board. Her current work with mental health needs of families and children will also enhance insight into the areas that require consideration, empathy, and immediate attention in sustaining the wellness of our community's families and the sustainability of their living environments. I thank you very much for your time this morning and highly encourage the consideration of Ms. Vina Zuzu to this board. Sizosmasi.
Sizosmasi, Senor Ariola. The floor is still open.
Good morning, buenos dias, Tiro, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Angel Audanda Mapan, and I appear today in my individual capacity as a resident of the Northern Mariana Islands. As you have heard from everyone before me, and as you've seen by the credentials before you, there's no need to dwell on the qualifications and the experience of the nominee that has been nominated to the position of director for the board of NMHC. I appear before you simply to register my full support for a nominee that I know is super qualified, super capable to carry out the mandates of the board of directors and to work with the other board members and with the staff and management of NMHC to ensure that the housing goals and objectives of the CNMI are carried out and met to its fullest potential. I have a personal relationship with Vina, but I am not one of her roommates. But she has been a close friend of mine and my wife, a close family friend within the confines of our cultural tradition. She's my Kamairi. And just today I learned from Antikati's testimony what the meaning of Sishuram is. And I'm sitting back there like amazed because everything that defines that name is everything that is sitting before you as the nominee today. As some of you may be aware, being the great organizer that she is, and that's one of the meanings of that name. I think she has every color of the highlighters that are at the office supply store. But she is very organized, and she is very capable of bringing people together. The crowd behind me is testament to that capability. And I guess it was because of that name that the nominee also served for 5 consecutive elections in my campaign team as an officer. And today I'm here to pay it forward because as much as I trusted her for 5 consecutive elections, I trust her again to carry out the mandates of the housing agency here, to address a serious issue that's besetting our Commonwealth, and that is homelessness. That is an issue that is not indigenous and is not culturally acceptable to us because we look after one another. And I believe this nominee will look after every resident and visitor of the Commonwealth. And so I urge your favorable consideration and thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. Sizus Masi.
Sizus Masi, former Representative Angel de Mapan. The floor is still open.
Hello. Lestor Mamoy and Hafade. My name is Sylvan Olopai Igisomor. I am your Secretary of the Department of Lands and Natural Resources, but I sit here on my personal, as a private individual with personal ties to Ms. Vina Saurus Azuzu. I've known Vina all of her life, and I've watched her as we grow together as kids and watch her develop as a young leader. And I have been very impressed and continue to be surprised by her tenacity and drive and her passion for our community. We've shared many a happy hour, and in those happy hours, there's always a segment of what can we do for our community. And as you can see from her extensive background, education, and experience, it's pretty diverse. She's participated in many other extracurricular organizations outside of her workplace as a caring community member and always envisioning an environment that is great for her kids and our kids. And so this is a superwoman, heavy hitter, and this administration is lucky to have her said yes when she was called to serve. So I urge you to support this nomination and confirm as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Igisomar. The floor is still open. There being no further interested persons to provide testimony and public comments, we will move on. to the next item on the agenda. But before I do, I'd like to state for the record that the committee also received a letter of support from Miss Daisy Dimapon, former member of the Commonwealth Women's Association, the NMD Corp., and the Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Alliance. Miss Vina Saris Azuzu, I'd like to now invite you to please rise and raise your right hand as the legislative assistant will administer the oath.
Vina Claire Sars Azuzu, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you. Ms. Azuzu, every member of this committee has the inherent obligation to ask probing questions of you to determine your qualification, education, and experience beyond professional standing, to make a determination as to your qualifications to serve as a board member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation Board of Directors. And that is why we are here today. I will now open the floor for you if you'd like to make any opening remarks to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first have to say I am quite overwhelmed and grateful for all the testimonies of support that was shared this morning. Hafade and Tiro, Madam Chairwoman Selina Babauta, and the esteemed members of this committee, Senator Paul Manglonia and Senator Donald Manglonia. My name is Vina Claire Saris Azuzu, and it is with great gratitude and humility that I am here with you all today. I would first like to extend my appreciation to Honorable Governor Arnold I. Palacios and Honorable Lieutenant Governor David M. Apatang for this nomination to be considered for the Board of Directors for the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. I must admit that I originally had written a quite lengthy and technical statement, but as of this morning, something still didn't sit right with me, and it still felt incomplete because I felt it didn't capture what I wanted to impart today. So today, I'm going to scrap that technical statement, and instead, if you would indulge me, I would like to share a story. Many, many years ago, I met a friend. I will call my friend Miles. I met Miles through family members who were close to her. She was young, healthy, and energetic. She had a laughter that was captivating, and if there was something constant about her, she was always smiling. She was one of those people who was just a joy to be around. I went at least 10 years without seeing Miles. I had gone off to school and just never saw her around whenever I would come home to visit. Then some years ago, I crossed paths with Miles again. She looked older, but was still my same old energetic, funny, and smiley friend. But there were things that I never knew about Miles. I never knew that she never really had a home. When she stayed with my family, I thought it was because they were just such close friends. I did not know at the time that that was the only place she had, and in fact, the safest place for her to be. Although she never made it obvious, she also battled many circumstances that just made things challenging for her. I would often see her around, of course, with that constant smile on her face, walking the neighborhood, lending a hand to strangers she would encounter. Some were welcoming, some were fearful, sometimes brushing her off as just a person wandering the streets. But Miles was my friend. Whenever we'd meet, I'd refer to her as my sister, and she would respond back to me with a, "Hey, sis." I saw something that not everyone realized. Behind this seemingly happy person, there were so many odds stacked against her. There was something that ached in my gut, wishing that there was more that I could do to help her. I would often ask myself questions like, are we doing the best we can? What is it that we're missing? And what can we do for the Mileses in our community? I share this story because this is a big part of why I am here. We have many Mileses in our community who need us to see their needs, and beyond seeing their needs, to respond to these needs with empathy and compassion. I also think about families juggling multiple responsibilities, entirely needing financial assistance to provide a stable home for their families. I have worked in the behavioral health field for the last 8 years, helping develop programs to help our most vulnerable populations achieve optimal outcomes in their lives. I bring this experience and an overflow of compassion to dedicate to serving our community, especially those with unmet needs in this context. My friend had no idea, but she clocked many miles on my mind and on my heart and left an imprint and a passion for serving and caring for many others like her. NMHC plays a vital role in providing resources to support community development and to help provide access to reliable and stable housing. We all know that housing is a basic need that critically impacts a person's livelihood. As we have often expressed in my line of work, people don't usually seek us out when they are having the best times of their lives. They usually come to our doors because they need our help. I see many parallels with my current line of work and the work of NMHC. It would be my honor to have the opportunity to use the knowledge, skills, and experiences I have gained over the years to contribute meaningfully to this effort to ensure that we maximize and hopefully expand resources to best serve our community's needs. I aim to contribute my technical knowledge of program development, implementation, and management, and also offer a public health and social health perspective. With that said, I assure you that I am willing, ready, and excited to take on this role should I be favorably considered. As I wrap up this statement, I'd like to take a brief moment to express my gratitude to everyone who has supported me in one way or another. I would like to acknowledge and thank my husband and our children who have been my most constant source of love, motivation, and inspiration. They willingly allow me to share my time, to pursue my personal goals, and serve our community in different capacities. I'd like to also thank my family and friends, my mom and my parent-in-laws who are here, who continue to encourage and support me. I also thank my mentors and colleagues, a number of whom are also here, for their support and continued dedication to critical work in our community. And while they are at peaceful rest, I must also acknowledge my late parents, who are the foundation and reason for everything I am today. To the NMHC board, its leadership and staff, I hope to have the privilege to work with you all. With that, thank you, Sidus Masi and Hilisong.
Cesar Ms. Azuzo. We will now open the floor for the members to proceed with their questions. I will recognize Senator Paul Manglonia at this time.
Jesus Masi Chair, imagari sa ta napakpuas ti hearing pagugwa mo na sa esta bonito no. So far todos no let me just say I really appreciate Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatan, another excellent appointee, female appointee at that, and well-educated, experienced. We really can say enough to thank you for accepting this appointment. And let me just begin by and thank you for that beautiful story that you shared. Many times we overlook this critical need in our community, and we need to be reminded every once in a while. Home ownership through the family in all communities, right? In our islands, is very critical, and it will go a long way in in, I guess, uh, improving the livelihood of all our families and especially our children, right? So, thank you for that very touching story. Let me just begin by quoting the mission of NMHC, and I quote: NMHC is committed to providing efficient and responsive delivery of housing, mortgage, and community development programs to the people of the Commonwealth, affording fair and equal opportunity to housing programs and services for all, with special emphasis to very low and moderate income individuals, elderly, and persons with disabilities, increasing and implementing home ownership programs with houses that are safe, decent, sanitary, and affordable, encouraging and promoting economic independence, self sufficiency, and upward mobility for families, and implementing programs to address the growing and future needs and economic viability of the communities in the Commonwealth. And Madam Chair, I think we have a nominee here who I have no doubt will carry out and promote the mission of NMHC. And one person that I recently got the opportunity to meet and talk a few times is Jeannie, and I know where her heart is with housing, and her, uh, putting forward her support. I think that goes a long way, as well as others. See Mrs. Tumakani here, and others that come forward. I think they speak volume, and I have every confidence, Madam Chair. I'm ready to support the nominee. Um, I know that many issues out there, some involving CDBG, DR housing applicants, uh, following up with NMAC. I'm calling also the offices up for follow-ups. I know that that will be also your priority, as I believe a lot of our young people, those also especially with low income, will benefit tremendously, and I know I have confidence that you would follow that up also. I just want to state that. So Tauza no questiono, Madam Chair, distuzo pa ba sapota no si izota nomini utunga na este zonya mission statement ni NMHC iponagwaha oportunidad para programas ng serbisyo guma para wajuda man na maseta dan siya i man disable para siya na manhubin man gagay pamilya esta mona para mana oportunidad para guma na i molik mahasanya no firme na guma jan barato no i presyo pues estado listo si Diyos mausi, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Paul. Recognize Senator Donald Manglonia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on your nomination, Mrs. Zuzu. I share the same sentiment as Senator Paul, as well as all those that came before and spoke in support of your nomination. I do have your resume in front of you, and it doesn't do justice to just have it for the members' purview, and just to state for the record and for the viewing audience, your experiences, particularly in grants management with the Community Guidance Center, as well as your current role as a program manager for the Systems of Care program, which I'm sure deals with many grants and is being funded through grants. And I think that would be a great benefit to NMHC. And so I guess not to let you go off easy, because I do support and I do value the work you provide to the community, but I just wanted to kind of gauge your knowledge on maybe your experiences with grants and how you think that your current role, and you did mention this in your statement, how your current role as a program manager can assist and help you with being this member of NMHC.
Thank you for that question, Senator Manglonia. In my experience with working with grants, one important thing that I have learned is the importance of us advocating for our needs and ensuring that we communicate our context. I understand that federal grants come with guidelines and come with an area of focus, but in many times, they don't necessarily know what happens on the ground, the unique challenges that we are faced with, and also the unique opportunities that we have. And so that is something that has been a priority for me in working with grants and with working with federal agencies, is advocating to ensure that they understand our context, because I feel the burden is on us. We are dealing with individuals who may have never stepped on our beautiful islands, have never met our people. And so I take that as a big responsibility in being the messenger between the federal grantors and our community, is to ensure that I can represent that so that they understand as much as they can, even without stepping on our islands, our very unique context.
Thank you, and I appreciate your response. It was listed as one of the challenges that NMHC is currently facing, and that is CNMI being such a remote location and with the limited resources. It's that lack of understanding of the challenges that we face, and so and just to further point out that you have been an active member of the community, serving numerous positions. You have a long list of volunteer opportunities, and so I think I'll leave with this, and that if confirmed, I hope that you can look into a lot of these awards, these grant awards provided to these families, and try to see how we can streamline a much efficient way in which our awardees can avail of these opportunities, in the sense where I guess currently there seems to be a challenge in, for example, the CBDG DR program. I understand that a lot of these steps that are needed to get the full payment out is dependent upon other agencies. And so if you can build that connection with these other agencies to try to see what are some of the red tapes, or what are some of the obstacles that are preventing these agencies from, whether it be giving out these, getting clearances or stuff like that, so that we can streamline. According to the citizen-centric report, the time, the start time for that CBDG DR program started on November of 2020, and we're approaching the 3-year mark, and this is a 6-year grant period. And so I'm not sure what other challenges are there in trying to push out all of these fundings. I know there are several families on Rhoda that are waiting for an award, or waiting for whether it be clearances from these agencies. And so if you can look into that and try to see how we can assist in trying to get those out of the way and get families into their new homes. Another one of the concerns that I've recently come across last weekend when I was on Rhoda, and I haven't had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Ogo down on Rhoda, but just driving into Blue Bay Homes, there seems to be a lot of dilapidated buildings, and so we wanted to see how we can address that and see what the next steps are, whether it be to demolish these buildings or renovate them so that we can provide additional houses to our people. NMHC runs a tight ship. I appreciate the support that, like Senator Paul has mentioned, that Ms. Mafnes has provided to the legislature, her quick response to our request, and also her willingness to assist the Rota delegation in whatever requests we provide. And so I ask that you continue to provide that support as a board member to NMHC staff in trying to help deliver these awards to our people, and at the same token, continue to engage with stakeholders, whether it be the legislature or other agencies. And if there's any legislations or statutes that needs some updating or amendments, we'll gladly work with you to help make that make your work easier, but also to again provide these services to our people. And so at this time, again, thank you for taking this opportunity. I would like to also register my support for Ms. Azuzu. Thank you.
This is Small State Senator Manglonia Donald. For the record, Ms. Azuzu was nominated by Governor Palacios on June 2nd, 2023 to represent the 3rd Senatorial District and the Refalawash community. Just wanted to state that for the record. I wanted to also say that this week's schedule of confirmation hearing has been inspirational, really. Inspirational and energizing to see so many women, educated women, rise up to the challenge and be in spaces where they are in leadership positions to make policy decisions for the agencies in our government. And we really, really appreciate that. It offers diversity in leadership, offers a different perspective, and that is what we seek in our government today. And one of the most difficult things, Ms. Azuzu, one of the most difficult things to do is to self-examine our own paradigms. And with that, I'd like for you to answer the question, who am I? Please inform this committee, who am I? I'm not looking, what we see in paper certainly meets the qualifications to be a policymaker at NMHC. But who am I? We don't know you on a personal level, and I think that is a plus for you. We don't have any prejudgments other than what we see on paper. And I'm not looking for your educational successes. I'm not looking for your work experience and things you do in your current job. Please answer the question.
I think quite simply, what comes to mind is I'm a person that works very hard, but I work from my heart in everything that I do. And this doesn't just apply to what I do at my workplace, but at home with my family. I trust my heart with a lot of things that I do because maybe to a fault, I care so much. And I've heard some individuals who've told me that, you know, at first glance, you seem like an intimidating person, and I really don't know where that comes from. Maybe because sometimes I'm serious. And somebody did ask me if there was something that you would like people to know about you, what would that be? And I said, I'm not always serious all the time. So there's a lot in here that drives me. And it really is my compass for everything that I do. I rely a lot on my instinct and my caring heart. And if there was something to take away, it's that for me.
Thank you for that candid answer. One last question. Like I said, we don't have any concerns as to your education and work experience. But related to your work experience, or your education rather, how do you think your educational journey and your accomplishments lend to being a committed policymaker at the Northern Marianas Housing Corp?
I have learned a lot of things, a lot of lessons also in my experience. And specifically in working with the Community Guidance Center, my work has been heavy on being more behind the scenes, behind a computer, developing programs, implementing programs. But if you ask me what's most important to me, is not what I do behind the computer, but what translates in our community, the people who come to our doors. I don't see a number that identifies these families that come to us, but I see people, and I think about how everything we do translate to an impact on them. And so it's those things that I carry with me, the technical experience, the compassion that has grown deeper in working in this field, that I would take into this context and see how I can best apply that to contribute to NMHC.
Thank you. What I'm trying to get at is, how does your education in healthcare, being a healthcare provider, I see you are a nurse assistant. You're certified as a nurse assistant. Your bachelor's in biology and working on your master's in public health. How does your education in being a healthcare provider and service provider in allied health, how does that lend to your, should you be confirmed, lend to your ability to make policies for housing situations?
I would say that my knowledge with an education in public health gives me a perspective to understand the impact that housing has on the livelihood. And when we talk about livelihood, there's a very holistic perspective that includes your mental health, your social health, and all of these things, one way or another, are connected. And so while it may seem on the surface that housing is just this basic need, you put a roof over your head and that's meeting that need, there are other ways that it's impacting your overall wellness and your health. And I think it's that perspective, understanding the public health concepts is what I would offer.
Thank you. Do you see your hectic schedule with the community guidance interfering with your, let's say, board meetings? I don't know how often the board meets, but do you see that as an impediment, if anything?
I do not. I believe the board meets quarterly,
Okay.
and with ample notice of our meetings, it is something that I can plan for and ensure that I work into my schedule. I do have a busy schedule, but I also believe that you have to make time. Time will not find you. And so that's something that I would ensure that I would plan for.
Thank you. I have no other questions. And I will recognize any member for our second round if they wish to relay anything else. Senator Paul? Thank you, Ms. Azuzu. Your hearing is one of the shortest we've had in the history of this committee. Last night we went all the way past 6 p.m. And I don't think you'd want to stay here past 6 p.m. Neither do we. Ms. Azuzu, there can be no doubt that your educational endeavors and accomplishments, your experience and your knowledge of the complexities of grant management will take you far as a board member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corp. And it would be our privilege to advance your nomination for confirmation at the next Senate session. But before the committee dismisses you, we want to wish you well in your pursuit of your master's, and wish you well. Should you be confirmed by the Committee of the Whole in your next tenure as a Board of Directors member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corp. Sizu Small Sit, you are hereby dismissed.
Thank you all.
Next up on the agenda, we have miscellaneous. Do we have anything from the members? Recognized Senator Donald Minglonia.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, with several members being absent, I request for both you and Senator Paul's presence this afternoon at 1 p.m.
Yes,
for
sir.
MVA.
We'll be
Thank you.
there. Anything from Senator Paul?
Ready, Madam Chair?
Okay, next up on the agenda is adjournment, and I recognize Senator Donald Minglonia for the proper motion.
Madam Chair, I move for the adjournment of today's committee meeting subject to your call.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, members. Motion has been made and has been seconded. Are there any objections to the motion? No objections raised. The motion hereby passes. It is now 11:16 a.m. This meeting is hereby adjourned.